It's a tough gig, but somebody's got to do it.
Well, good morning. Good morning. So it's great to be here again. It feels like it's been a long time. I don't know. It was September, we're here in the fall now. It seemed like August was a long month. I'm not real sure. But just wanted to now get rolling on promoting the Faith Summit that is coming up, CICOA's Faith Summit. That this will be our third time doing the Faith Summit. And it'll be on November the 9th. And it's a Thursday this year as opposed to a Wednesday. So hopefully some people told me Thursday, was a better day for them. So I'm hoping that that will help with our turnout. But also the fact that we'll go from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. And so our topic is not new to anybody for this year. It seems like when I came up with this topic in January, we started talking about mental health. Mental health has now been talked about pretty much all year. It's still something we need to continue to talk about. And as a result of that, we will be having our summit on mental health. We're going to have a keynote speaker this year. So we're going to do a little different format than we've done before. So I think the first year we had just people come up with different areas of aging, allowing people to talk about what are the advantages of aging and what are some volunteer opportunities. We did that the first year. So the second year, then we talked about how faith and medicine science can come together, really having those conversations with the faith leaders as well as with those in the medical field, having an opportunity to ask questions and all of that. So we will be at the Bidwell again. And that's a wonderful location if you haven't been there before. So we're excited to be back there. And our keynote speaker is going to be Dr. Danielle Henderson, who is over at the IU School of Medicine, if you look her up. And she is the assistant dean for diversity affairs there, as well as she's an assistant professor for clinical psychiatry. So I think she'll come with some good information for us. She's going to kind of start us off and talk for probably about 30 minutes or so, just about mental health and what are ways that people can address mental health issues in their community, in their families, in their lives themselves, and then how that looks in the faith community. I think one of the things that is important is that we do talk about it in faith communities because I don't know. I think it's always been a part of faith, right? How do you connect your mental, your spiritual, and your physical health in essence? Yeah.
I think this, Denise, we've been discovering this, 'cause this is going on 3 years strong. And thank you again, you and Tarek and the whole team at CICOA for allowing Radio Next to, parlay these messages. But I think that when we start talking to people who need help, resources, and information, the messenger sometimes is bigger than the message. And the one thing about the faith-based community is when you have people who are attending churches, when you have people who religiously go out and support and volunteer for CICOA, you have people who have the ear of the people that we're really trying to reach. And I think we just disconsider that a lot of times when we're talking about how we're trying to reach our community, because there are people in the neighborhood, the big mama of the neighborhood, OG of the neighborhood, that can get people convinced to listen to what this person's saying better than a lot of times the messenger who might be coming from a very, very good organization that has great intentions. And I think we have to start understanding that just a little bit more. Who's giving the message of where you can get help? Been working with
Yeah.
Pastor Green and just intently healthy minds, healthy ND, because there are organizations that I know could use that message and the resources that they're providing. So I just love the faith-based summit is doing. I'm so happy to be a part of it again. And, I think that people need to understand that they can be a part of this movement as well.
Yeah. And we're offering this free. So that's, there's no barrier in that sense. We hope that people will just go to our website, go to the events tab at the top. So it's CICOA, CICOA And when you click on that, our website will come up, and then across the top it'll say events. And so click on events and then scroll down and you'll see the Faith Summit, and you can click right on there and register. So it's very easy to go ahead and do your registration. You can register more than one person at the time, and we're also open to vendors. So we have a limited space. So if you're a vendor and you would like to, be a part of that, then you would need to do that pretty quickly, and also so that you can you have a table at the summit. And so one of the things we're going to do after we have the speaker is we're going to each table in itself is going to kind of have its own topic. And so when people come in, they'll see the topic and they can decide if that's the topic they want to be a part of. And so in that, we're going to really look at, grandparents, like grandparenting is one thing. You think it's going to be one thing when you have your children, and you're like, okay, and they'll have children and they'll raise their children. But unfortunately, right now, we're seeing a lot of grandparents raising their grandchildren, right? Mm-hmm. And so being placed in that position, I think of my grandchildren and I'm like, wow, if they had to come here and now I have to start over with kindergarten and reading and all that on a day-to-day basis, that would be a challenge for sure.
I want to get deeper than that, Denise, because we have now so many extended families where you didn't even have a clue you were getting ready to become a grandparent because maybe your son or your daughter has kids, and now mm-hmm. here they are, a part of your dynamic on a daily basis, and there's no getting away from it. So we have to, like you say, this conversation is going to be rich and deep. What other type of programs are we going to have?
Yeah, definitely. And then we're going to talk about dementia and talk about how the mental health issues that come up with someone who is living with dementia, how that affects them as well as affects their caregiver and family that now is adjusting to their loved one having different cognitive issues. And so in essence, I hear all the time, my mom was just the most laid back, never said a curse word, just very gentle, and that's not what we see now, so that's an adjustment for people. Sometimes it's heartbreaking for people to see that change happen with their loved one and all. And so we're going to talk about not only what's happening with the person who's diagnosed, but then how that affects their caregivers, their families, as they're dealing with that. Because as I am in the community and we're doing Dementia Friends sessions, it comes out all the time how people are feeling the challenge, of now becoming a caregiver, going down a path that they didn't think they would have to go down. Now trying to understand, how do I navigate my own family, my own home, and now navigate caring for my loved one and trying to make the best choices. What are the resources out there that are available? When we talk about adult daycares, when we talk about caregivers coming in, whether that's skilled or not, people really get challenged with that, and then what does the healthcare part of that look like? What does the long-term care part of that look like? So we'll talk about what that looks like and all the dynamics of that as a part of the summit. And then we'll also talk about substance abuse disorders. And so a lot of times people talk about young people, using drugs and drinking and all of that type of thing. But this is something that is lifetime for some people, dealing with how this has affected them, how has it affected their family, how has it affected their mental health, how has it affected their ability to maintain employment, how has it now affected them in their aging process, because as we become older, it really makes a difference. What does Social Security look like? What does our Medicare look like? What does Medicaid look like? How does all of that fall in place for someone when maybe they haven't had a long work history? So really talking about, what that looks like. How does that challenge the family? Now that we're, we have someone that's over 65 and we're trying to figure out now, how do we navigate their resources, and do they have enough resources? One of the things people talk about is, will I outlive my money when it's all said and done, in retirement? And so really kind of looking at, what's the effect overall with that? And that truly we're talking about something that is a mental health issue as well, when a person is dealing with a substance abuse disorder. The next one we'll do is social isolation, the term that has become very prominent during, COVID since 2000. I don't know if anybody was talking about social isolation before then, but now we talk about that. We talk about people living alone, not having, day-to-day contact with other human beings, which is really important for us. One of the things too is that, even touch is important. So have you been hugged lately? Sometimes people don't get any physical contact maybe till they come to their worship service, and people are happy to see them and they hug them, and so that's important to get that physical touch. We lost that a lot in COVID with people, worshiping from home as opposed to coming inside. I think we're still seeing that struggle of getting some of our older adults back into the worship service, as well as our younger people. So, in essence, how has social isolation affected our mental health? And then we will have, some discussions with NAMI to really talk about all the great work that they do. I'm going to their conference, I think, next Friday. And so it's kind of cool to really see the work that they do and how they really have people who are living with their mental health diagnosis and how they have become successful in that sense. So not saying that mental health means now I go sit in a corner and, I'm not productive to society, but truly people are productive in society and they just need the assistance to be able to do that. And then the last part we'll look at is nursing in the faith community. What is what is the important role that the nursing we call what is auxiliaries or nursing boards or nursing people in our faith communities? Because I think as we've looked at all of these particular issues that I've brought up, it's important that those professionals that are in when you think of a faith community, there's all walks of life, there's all professions that are there. And so in essence, is that your ministry? Is that your ministry even in your faith community? Are you bringing those skills then to your faith community? So those will be some of the breakouts that we'll have during the Faith Summit. So hopefully people will find that of interest and want to come and engage in those rich conversations. And we don't want it just to be a conversation, HB. We really want people to talk this through, look at what are some of the solutions, what are some of the ideals, what are some things people have already been doing that they feel has been working, but also what are some things we can do moving on. And we want to put that in a document in a sense and make that available to people so that it's kind of like this opportunity for people to come back and look at and see it as a resource.
And I would like to say this, and I know I go elementary a lot of times, Denise, but if you're out there listening right now and you're taking care of your loved one unexpectedly, you're a caregiver. If you're taking care of your daughter's kids, your daughter might be away from work or incarceration or whatever, you're a caregiver. And we have resources out here available. And I have to make that known because a lot of times, especially in our community, we just start taking over the responsibility and don't even know that you're a caregiver. And here are the resources, here are the information, here is the awareness that can better you in your life of having to take on this sudden change. So I like to say that just all the time because we have a lot of people that don't know that they're caregivers. We have help for you on the way. With the Faith-Based Summit, the one thing that I love the most is bringing the science, the data, the resources that we have gathered together along with the spiritual, the unprecedented awareness that there's a God bigger than us. And how do we make it, happen? And a lot of times in the past, we have tried to separate the two. And I think that we delicately do this at the Faith-Based Summit. And I think that's so important because the numbers don't lie.
No. And I love how passionate you are about getting the resources out to people. And that is so key because we still struggle to make sure that everybody knows, right? There's always a challenge. There's always someone that says, oh, I didn't know about that. I wish I had known about that, that resource and everything. And I think all of us in the community that provide these services feel horrible when people say, oh, I wish I had known. I don't want to hear that. I want people to know about CICOA. I want people to know this resource is available to them. I don't want them to feel like they walked through a journey and there were resources that they didn't access, So that's why I'm always encouraging people just to call our ADRC, our area resource disability line, because it's important for people to know. And so even if you just call us and ask a question, that's okay. You don't have to need our services. But if you have a question because now all of a sudden mom or dad are going through something, or you're just trying to navigate or figure out something, feel free to call. It's important for you to have the information, and we want people to have that information. That's why we're thinking that really having the Faith Summit is so key, is because it allows the faith community to come together. And there have been some other things that are out there that are allowing people to come together and talk, like the Wellness Connection. I think I spoke at that a couple of months ago. So we really want to encourage each other. It's not one is better than the other. We really want people to understand that there's a lot of resources out there, and we want them to be connected to those resources, to understand. Because I even go to things and I go, wow, I didn't know about that. I'm glad that, I came, because now I learned something new. I was just talking to a coworker, I was like, one great thing is that we're able to get certifications and that type of thing while we're, working through CICOA, and they support us in that. And I was like, take advantage of that, because sometimes we get in our own little silo and we just kind of trudge along and do what we do, right? But when we have the opportunity to hear from others and hear about their experience or what they may be doing, it's so enlightening. And then it just helps to, I always say, it just kind of helps to flower us a little bit, right? We just kind of open up and we're like, wow, I can do that, or that would be great for me to connect my auntie to, or, I can let my friend know about that. So yeah, that is so important, because word of mouth still is very important, right? Getting the word out.
And it is the most trusted form of information that we receive. There are people who are sitting in their barber chair right now that's believing the barber Nate more than they have believed the doctor over at the office. I'm just telling you right now, that's how we roll. And that's how we need to understand communication is going to be better parlayed. We have to realize who we're talking to and how they listen to the message. And a lot of times I think we get it the wrong way. We think that we're bringing in help, but I told you before, the humility of this is what we need to be more about, because we understand the complex problems, but the humility of how we're dealing with each and every person who might be dealing with this catastrophe that came about their life all of a sudden. Now, are we getting better, do you think, at understanding that mental health, our community is really suffering from a lot of mental health issues, and sometimes we might think that we are functional because we're not, and I guess the perception of mental health is somebody that just can't function, can't live, they have panic attacks and all that. But man, there are functional people every day out here in this world, going to work every day, doing things, but they're dealing with a mental health crisis as well. Are we getting better?
I think the conversations are happening. I think we're noticing that, because I feel like just sometime in our community, mental health was kind of like a joke, right? You say, oh, that dude's crazy, don't worry about it, or, making comments like that. And so I think we're getting better at not making those, making those type of comments, being more mindful as well as empathetic, to what someone may be going through. And so not feeling like we have to cover up. I think sometimes people feel like I can't really talk about this. What was that saying? You say, too blessed to be stressed, so it's kind of like, okay, well, that's a good saying, but I am stressed. so does that mean I'm not blessed, as a part of that? So, even those little, quirky statements that sometimes people would make, saying, well, just pray on it. I think sometimes people like, okay, I have been praying on it, but I haven't seen a change yet. So really understanding that in this life, it's a journey, right? And so things don't happen instantaneously. When a person is on their faith journey, that looks different for everybody. And as a part of that, when we seek and we are growing in our own spiritual life, then we see things differently. So our lens is open in a different way. And so I think now that the community can talk about that ministers can kind of feel like, they've been addressing these issues. I think we said that last month with Pastor Green, but maybe not feeling like they were They knew exactly what to do for families, other than say, let's pray about it, let me support you in that particular way. But now, hopefully, we're putting those resources out where faith community leaders, lay people, and members can feel like, well, now I know I can call a number, I can give you this resource, I can tell you about something that I heard about, so that that information can be passed on, and that people don't feel isolated in dealing with things like you mentioned, depression or anxiety or panic attacks or substance use disorders, or now I'm grandparenting and this baby is getting me up at 3 a.m. in the morning. You just don't know how hard this journey is for me, and maybe I don't like it.
Well,
I'm not happy about it.
That's personal.
Yeah. It's not personal for me, but I'm just saying, if that were the case, getting up at 3 in the morning, I like my sleep. So.
I know that's right, but it's happening every night with a whole bunch of grandmas around the world.
Exactly.
And, when you don't understand, that is a life-changing event. That can bring on stress. That can bring on trauma. No matter how much you love that baby, you need to understand, I need help, and help is out here. But until you recognize that, and back to what you mentioned about family, and I mention this all the time, and I'm not trying to be funny, but if you got 12 people in a family and dysfunction has been how they have been living, then trying to crack that nut's a bit harder as well, because you don't even have anybody that understands that this is dysfunctional the way we've been living. So try to invade that area is very delicate. And that's the reason we need families to participate in some of these events and go to different breakout sections and say, wow, we kind of rocky in that area. And then somebody else comes back and can say, wow, we kind of shaky in that area. And now you have conversation to understand and develop, hey, we've been living kind of messed up for a minute. So I just think it's all so valuable to have a different breakout sessions where people are going to be able to participate. Now, we got about 5 more minutes next week coming up on the Big Safe at Home over on my stomping ground, your stomping ground, up on the east side of Indianapolis. I'm so excited. I don't know what to do about South Denise.
Yes, we have Safe at Home, our annual home modification day. So Safe at Home will be kicking off at Shiloh Missionary Baptist Church there on 38th Street, right where they're running one of those lines. I don't know what color the line is on 38th Street. It's coming down 38th Street.
Purple, blue, something, yeah.
Yeah, so it's one of the primary colors. And so as a result of that, we will kick off, the staff has to be there at 6:30, but we kick off, I think at 8:30 or 9, people start going out to the homes. So basically we have 21 homes in that 46218, 46226 area. And so these are older adults who now need some type of modification done, and something that can be done within a couple of hours. So we start off at 9 and we'll be done by 1 or so. We're looking at about 120 volunteers coming through, companies, families, co-workers, all coming there to build a team. And so we have what we call house captains that make sure that all of the work that's supposed to happen at that particular house happens. So basically they'll be doing grab bars, they'll be doing ramps. We're in relationship with saws, so we'll be putting up a ramp, as well as we'll do yard work again, like we did in April with the cleanup. So whatever the person needs to kind of winterize their home, that type of thing will happen as well. And so excited. Yeah, it's a great day. If you're driving down 38th Street and you see us at Shiloh, you see a crowd and a bunch of cars, that's us there. And then we'll disperse out to the different homes. And like I said, it's 21 homes that the volunteers will go to, probably 5 to 10 volunteers at each home. And as a result of that, they'll get that work done. They'll be there for the older adult who will receive these services. And it's amazing to see how excited people are to have someone come and do this, think about them. It just, my heart just, I don't know, I've done it for a couple of years, but I hadn't gone out to the houses until we did the cleanup in April, right? And I was on the spot. Look, I'm going to try that again.
My reporter.
The Roman Report, yeah. And so, it was just amazing to see how their faces lit up. It was amazing to see
Oh
the
my God,
transformations and everything. And so we're gonna put
man.
flowers out. We picked up some mums yesterday from Sullivan's. They donated
Yeah.
20 mums. And so we're going to put those out. So yeah, we're going to beautify and make some people smile next week. So that's just wonderful. And these are lasting changes, right? So that's what's great. These will be things that people can age in their homes because they're going to be safe as a result of these changes that we'll do next week.
Man, I love the work you do. The director
I love
over
it
at
too.
CICOA for your faith outreach coordinator and director, I might say it again.
Yes.
Denise, thank you so much, man. As always, we're going to continue to build this community, man, and build this ecosystem of awareness and information and resources. And thank you again, CICOA, for allowing me to help parlay this message.
Definitely. So don't forget, Faith Summit, November the 9th. It'll take place at the Bidwell. Go to our website, CICOA.org. Go to the events tab and tap on it and get your free ticket. So we'll look forward, bring your whole family, bring your whole congregation. We want everybody there. So please come and spend the day with us. It's a half a day, so that makes it even better, right?
Y'all sure do know how to sell a ticket, boy. The built well is worth the price of admission.
Yeah, and we're doing sponsorships too, HB. So if you'd like to sponsor, go to our website. We're posting the sponsorships. So if you'd like to sponsor, we'd love to keep this event free. So if we have sponsors, then that's the way that we can do that. So
work, my sister. Appreciate you. Name number love for you. I'll talk to you soon. Don't forget September 22nd. We got
I'm not forgetting.
Radio
Take care, my brother.
That is Denise.